Radio Retro Future.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Bonsad of Radio Retro Future, and I apologize for not appearing on camera today, but I had this major migraine this morning, so I do not feel like appearing on camera this day. Now, before I go on about time, I got some feedback of people telling me they didn't know about my Patreon, because I always put it at the end of my video, and who bloody cares about the end credits these days? So, for those people, here is my Patreon, and of course, the link is down in the description. Thank you for your patronage. So let's get to the subject of this video. Ladies and gentlemen, I was on time this weekend. It means the illuminating, mechanical, and extraordinary. And we of Radio Retro Future had a booth there. We were there with two people, Niels, of course, who's always reliable tech guy. And we had a great time over there, despite the constant rain. The rain really threw a wrench in what we could do, so that was really unfortunate. But still, we had a great time. The atmosphere is great, and I think that's the most important things, especially on these small festivals. Matter of fact, I prefer small festivals overall, but as far as time is concerned, yeah, there sure is a room for growth there, and that is exactly what the organizers intend to do. So yeah, I'm looking for the next edition in 2018 already. So what was T.I.M.E all about? T.I.M.E is the new Steampunk fair in the Netherlands. They didn't want me to call it a convention, as Montague Jacques Fromage reminds me constantly. It's a very American name. And yeah, convention is not the proper name for it either way. And it was part of the Fantasia Fest Leeft Festival, which is a more fantasy-related, pagan lifestyle-esque event, but it always has traditionally a large steampunk part of it. It used to be DESC, the Dutch European Steampunk Convention, but that one moved to Winschoten. So now it has T.I.M.E, and T.I.M.E does things somewhat differently. For example, T.I.M.E didn't have much musical bands this year. There was Pyrolysis that played on the Friday night for the volunteers of the event, which is a band that plays both traditional music but also modern covers, especially from a musician on YouTube called Miracle of Sound, who makes songs about video games. And with all the games and genres out there, some of these songs fit the neo-pagan slash fantasy slash science fiction very well. During the day, they only had, well, I don't want to say only had, they had magic shows, they had fire shows, they had activities that ran throughout the day, like the Royal Seahorse Riders Society that had seahorse races, which are basically wooden horses which you can ride. There was the Aviator, who did a T-bot race, but also a workshop on T-dueling. And then, of course, there was us, Radio Retro Future. We gave a presentation in the morning. And we also have a new activity that we have decided to call Red Racing, which can best be described as miniature T-bot racing in a box. But more on that in a different video. Also, Publica was there, who gave just a wonderful, wonderful performance with soap bubbles. And what I like about Publica's act is that anyone can join in, chase the bubbles, try to catch them, and all the other great things you can do with soap bubbles. So as far as any anecdotes about the events are concerned, yes, it was really, really rainy. My tent got flooded on the Saturday evening, and we had to move around or camp a lot because, of course, the pasture got flooded as well. But as far as I'm concerned, the weather was the only negative thing about it, and you have no control over that. So yeah, that's really unfortunate, but we did have a lot of fun. I did get a lot of response from people who were watching my Steampunk Beginner's Guide that I was showing. This week will be the 4th episode, but I premiered it on time, as well as Steamtropolis on Germany, but I couldn't be there. So I'm eager to hear feedback from that as well. So yeah, my material is getting around. Speaking of which, it was actually fun to hear from people that actually knew who I was and what my channel was about. So that's very nice to hear, very motivating. And yeah, it will be curious to see where I will be at the next edition of T.I.M.E, which will probably be my new favorite event for sure. Now, it is not perfect, there is still room for a lot of growth, but that's the entire point of the concept at this time. So we expect more bands, expect more activities. Hopefully it will be bigger in general, and the hope of the organizers is to have it be its own separate event, independent of any other existing events. Before I forget, what I do hope to see next year is their newspaper. T.I.M.E actually had a newspaper with all the programs and present groups. I really love that touch, that attention for detail. So I hope to have a new, more elaborate newspaper next year as well. Then, of course, I got to speak to a lot of new people, a lot of people who wanted to know more about Steampunk, and I've become the kind of go-to guy at this point, where people will point at to say, well, you want to know more about Steampunk, go talk to him. You know, I have to consider that a compliment, I suppose. Didn't get to do interviews, the weather just didn't allow for it. My equipment is expensive. So, I hope you're satisfied with all the imagery you're seeing right now. But I did get some ideas for new episodes, some ideas that I want to work out in the future. So I hope to have the time for that. But who knows, I am unemployed for the moment. So I hope to have some room for things that I want to work on. Expect more updates on that in the near future. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. Of course, if you liked it, give it a like. Don't forget to share it. If you've been to T.I.M.E, give me your reactions. What do you think can be done to improve this? Were there particular things you didn't like about it? Were there particular things you thought they need to improve on, like their newspaper? And so on and so on. I'm really curious to your opinions. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, of course, as always, if you haven't already, please subscribe, and as always, make it your way. Good night.
Dancing with the chrononauts is really quite a lark. Summer Sundays, 6 p.m., the band shell in the park. Mazorcas, polkas, their exercise. There's no swing and sway. Time travelers brought us new dance music. Écoutez, s'il vous plaît.